Hey, Atkinson. You have someone lurking. Okay, great. Enjoy your lurk.
Hello.
Hey, Atkinson.
Yeah, what's up?
You have someone lurking.
It's totally fine. It's okay.
Okay, great. Enjoy your lurk.
That's my new sound alert. And I love it. God. I've been itching to get that sound alert going. Hi, everyone. How are you? Lovely to see you today. Rio, I know you're lurking, but thank you so much for that resubscription for 4 months. Blows my mind. Goldie, welcome in. 13th. Gemma, Hicks, Dark Angel, Queen. And I even think we had a... I saw somebody else. Coffee Queen, hi. Good to see you. I love your Stream Raiders battles, by the way. How is everyone doing? How's your weekend been? Did you get up to anything fun? Did you do anything interesting, new and exciting? Well, I don't know why I'm doing this. What? Rio. Thank you. 5 gifted subs. Matt, Queen, Goldie, David, Ian. From the bottom of my heart, you are fantastic. Thank you so much for being so freaking generous. No breaking the streamer right off the bat. Yeah, seriously. You're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. That was so stinking kind of you. And really, I need to... Okay. Let me find the words. I love reading to you all. This is a part of my week that I sincerely look forward to, regardless of what happens. It could be one person, it could be 100 people, it makes no difference. I enjoy it equally as much. But the fact that you guys go out of your way to lift my spirits like that means the world to me. And I appreciate it so much. So, thank you. I will have to have someone explain to me how Twitch actually works. Yeah, so let me break it down this way. There are basically... Gemma, thank you for the host. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Goldie, so... There's basically 2 ways Twitch works, or essentially 2 ways. You can follow, which is absolutely free, and everyone can do that. Following basically allows you to be alerted to the fact that someone goes live. So if you were following me, every time I go live on stream, you'll get a notification to let you know that I'm here and that I've started. Hicks, thank you. Gifting a tier 1 to Garuki. Thank you so much. You guys, you're I don't know what to say. Maggie Berry, awesome aim, Shivy Power, Dark Angel, a Lionheart. Rio, you're stop. Oh my god. I hadn't even started reading the book yet, Rio. Okay. Rio, you are something else. You seriously are. I do not deserve what you're doing right now. You are fantastic. Happy early, Eula. Broken Atkinson. Yeah, seriously. Come on. Okay, Rio, I love you. Thank you. Seriously. Seriously, thank you. You've made my freaking day and so much more. And to everyone that just got gifted a subscription, give lots of hugs to Rio, seriously. Currently have mod duties, will be looking, no worries. So besides following, what is the other way that Twitch works? Right, I got interrupted. The other way is what Rio's just been doing by having a subscription, and Hicks too for that matter. If you're subscribed, it means you don't have to deal with any ads. You get access to little emotes that I have, and hopefully now we'll be able to add more of. You, as a subscriber, you also get access to a subs-only part of my Discord channel, so that when I read on Saturday nights, a different book entirely, you can be part of that too if you want to. So it's just another level of Twitch, and it helps support me as the streamer so that I can buy more books. So chat cuties just need a biddy to this hype. No. Okay, before I get distracted, does Prime Sun work with that? Because I have not seen that at all. I'm not sure what you mean. Does Prime Sun work with that? Oh, you mean Prime Sub? Yes. I'm assuming you mean Prime Sub. For example, Aaron Smith Audio, part of our USG folks, I have a Prime subscription to him. So, alright, let's start Stream Raiders before I forget. Okay. Alright, we're just gonna get this battle going. Gosh, Rio, Hicks, you guys are kicking my butt today. I appreciate every second of it. I really do. I'm in your Discord and I'm not seeing the part of it for the book club. Alright, so you should see what's called a sub chat. And yeah, so the sub chat is what you'll have access to. And it did Prime sub. Okay. Let me check one thing real quick. Oh, interesting. It doesn't. I will check on that after, because yeah, you are primes, you are subbed, and you should have the role that you need to get in there, but for some reason it's not on your name. So I will look into that and see what I can figure out. All right. Okay. So today we're reading this book by our very own author, who is in the chat, Goldie. And before we actually start reading the book, how about I give you a description of what we're going to be reading? And here's the back cover, by the way. It's very cool with the dripping blood. There he is, Goldie74. Hello, hello. You might need to resync to Twitch for Discord. Okay. I will do that after. I don't want to delay anymore. You've thrown me all off today, Rio, okay? Congratulations. You stumped me. If I had a special merit badge for that, I would give it to you. Author hype, absolutely. All right, so let me read to you the back cover. And if anyone's interested in the book, it's right there. And I'm also going to give an applause for Rio and Hicks. The year 1347 is a difficult time to be in Sicily. Tita must leave everything she knows in order to save her son Luca from the same devastating fate that her husband experienced. The key to their survival may be within Tita's very being. Centuries later, 3 lives find themselves unexpectedly intertwined. Retired U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Alex Volk is troubled. He can't seem to get his life back together after his parents died in a car accident. The best part of his life is his hard-working wife, who works in the local emergency room and can handle anything, or so Alex thought. When Boston University student Angela Sindile begins her summer internship with, I'm assuming this is Neidl, N-E-I-D-L, her life is right on track to someday becoming a leader in medical research. The handsome Dr. Ethan Strong takes particular interest in his new intern Angela, as they are about to embark on the biggest challenge of their careers. Can Dr. Strong find the elusive solution to a potentially impossible problem? The trio may find the answers they are seeking, if they learn the lessons of the past. Needle, it is Needle. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. And am I saying Tita correctly? The Bubonic Reorder is the first novel by Aaron Spelker. He conceived the idea in 2014, but only found the time to write the book in 2019 after losing his sight. Aaron is an author, commentator, financial advisor, entrepreneur, teacher, father, husband, and friend, and he also manages to fit in being blind. So, when I was reviewing books to read, I picked this book for a couple of reasons. One, the story in of itself is very intriguing, and I love the premise of it, but I also picked it because of Aaron being blind, and I feel like of all the challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis, being blind just shouldn't be part of that. And the fact that it was only after being blind that he wrote this book, I find to be absolutely fantastic. So I wanted to pay homage to that. And if we get chance, after I'm done reading, hopefully we can get a quick interview in on Discord, so that way we can hear Aaron, and he can tell us more about it. So, without further ado, I'm finally going to crack open the book. I've barely looked inside here. I haven't even bent the pages yet, like they're still close together. So, here we go. I'm looking forward to this. I hope you are too. Get cozy, snuggle up to whatever you can snuggle up to. Get your drink ready. Get your snack. And yes, remember this was written in 2019, so keep that in mind, as I have a feeling that is important considering today's circumstances. Alright, I better hydrate real quick. Okay. Here we go. Chapter 1. October 1347. Mediterranean Sea. Early morning. "Leave me. I'm already dead," whispers the young sailor. I will chime in as Jason reads with some background. Perfect. Thank you. The captain can barely hear what the young man says as the boat tosses in the open sea. Stiff winds whistle through the rigging of the merchant ship. Battered by the storm, the torn and tattered sails flap in the wind. The captain marvels at his difficulty distinguishing between the sound of the thunder and the cacophony coming from the sails. The ship creaks and groans as it tosses on the sea. The sounds assault him, making it hard for him to think. The coughing of the dying man refocuses his attention. What is the boy's name? David? Ismail? He can never remember the new recruits. In any given trading season, he works with hundreds of different men. It is too strenuous to remember all their names. He has 3 lieutenants who oversee the operations of the merchant ship. These men handle navigation, merchandise, and labor, respectively. Ironically, the captain demands that the lieutenants know the name of every sailor under their command. Selfishly, this is so he does not have to bother. He barks commands or demands to the lieutenants, and they bring him to the rank and file. "Son, it's going to be all right. We're going to be at port soon," promises the captain. Inwardly, he chides himself for lying to the boy. It will take a miracle to get this vessel into port. Their hasty departure means they left port without any cargo. With the lack of ballast, geez, I'm really good with words today. With the lack of ballast, the ship is riding high in the water, providing little defense against the raging storm. Compounding the issue, the captain left port with only 50% of his typical crew. By the time they set sail, few of them were in a condition to man their posts. Some have been injured in battle. Others are weak from malnutrition. The others are sick with a terrible illness. Without a sufficient crew, the storm batters the ship as it crosses the Mediterranean Sea. Now it is up to the captain alone to bring this ship to salvation and help those who are holding on, like the boy in front of him. The captain pulls out his flask of water and brings it to the lips of the sailor. With the tossing of the boat, he spills much of the vital water on the sailor rather than into his mouth. The sailor chokes and gasps as his swollen throat refuses to draw the water in. The captain puts the cap back on the flask and tucks it back into his pocket. The sailor moans beneath. An excessive amount of sweat pours off the boy's face. At first glance, one would think that the boy had been doused with a bucket of water. However, the captain cannot count the number of times he has seen these symptoms in the last few weeks. He places the back of his hand on the sailor's cheek, and, as expected, feels the fever raging through his body. The heat is intense and abnormal. When the captain's boys were young, they often got fevers. His wife claimed it was from playing outside in the cold until bedtime. He doubted that was correct. His wife always had some nonsensical reason for everything. His boys' fevers were never this bad. Well, that is not entirely true. In the end, their fevers were exactly this bad. "How did I get here?" he sighs in despair. But he knows the story of his own life. He was born in Genoa. No, that's not right. Genoa, there we go. And became a sailor like his father and brothers before him. The Genovese people specialize in seafaring and mercantile trade, and he is from a proud Genoa family. The captain's first memories were on a sailing ship with his father and his brothers. On that trip, he accompanied them on a short outing to Messina to deliver Genovese clothing and pick up spices from the east. After apprenticing with his father for several years, the captain was ready to start his career and lead his own vessel. Young and eager to prove himself, he moved to Caffa. Caffa was a small port city at the intersection of the east and west. Caffa connected the land trade from the Tarda Empire to the seas of the Mediterranean. The captain saw both adventure and opportunity in Caffa. His goal was to build a vast merchant empire as one of the first Genovese traders to commit to Caffa as his home port of operations. When he first moved to Caffa, the port town had just experienced a recent population explosion. This sudden growth turned the formerly small fishing village into a bustling trade port. Shortly after his arrival, several adventurous Genovese merchants relocated to Caffa. And suddenly, the competition to build the east-west trade route became extremely crowded. In the past 20 years, the city spread over the flat land toward the hills in the distance. The small fishing village was now a vibrant seaport with 50,000 souls. Caffa grew to be a monument to Genovese opulence. The roads were built with the finest care and materials. The street blocks were frequently scrubbed clean, making the roads appear to be newly installed. The city homes resembled the richest neighborhoods in Genoa. The finest homes and materials and stones directly imported from Genoa. In fact, one family had their Genoa home dismantled, stone by stone, and reassembled in Caffa. These opulent dwellings were known as the homestead houses. The Caffa market expanded until it stretched for a dozen blocks in all directions to create the finest trading bazaar in the known world. The trading square sold spices, clothes, rugs, jewelry, animals, precious stones, pottery, and art from around the world. The captain viewed Caffa as heaven on earth. As a successful merchant, he had a place of prominence among the citizens. When he was in town between excursions, he was invited to the extravagant parties of the well-to-do. The captain remained single, which made him a sought-after prize of several of the aristocracy daughters. At one of these parties, he was absent-mindedly listening to one of the town councilmen drone on about plans to introduce a new sewage draining system throughout the city. He glanced toward the door, longing to escape, when his eyes fell on the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Her hair was the color of dark chocolate, with curls that framed her face. Her crimson red lips matched the accent colors of her dress. The captain abruptly excused himself from the councilman and crossed the function hall to introduce himself. He married Laura 6 months later and moved her into Homestead. His 2 boys quickly followed. I Blue Wave, hello. Good to see you. The next few years delivered personal and professional success to the captain. However, the first signs of distress in Caffa occurred this past spring. A traumatized crew of Genovese sailors arrived from a northern port. The crewmen described an unprovoked attack from a group of Torta soldiers. The confrontation between the sailors and the soldiers escalated until one of the sailors, in self-defense, stabbed and killed one of the aggressors. Scared for their lives, the men hastily left the city and retreated back to Caffa for safety. In the weeks that followed, the story spread throughout the taverns of the port city until all 70,000 inhabitants had heard some version of the tale. After weeks of telling and retelling, the story had grown in its grandeur. During the captain's last hearing of the story, the Genovese sailors forced off against 100 Tartar soldiers. Against these odds, the sailors defended the honor of several young women who were being groped and molested by the Tartar soldiers. After the soldiers fled in disgrace, the sailors were cheered by the townspeople. When they left port, the entire city lined the shores to see them off. It was a, how's the saying going? I caught a fish this big. It's basically like that. Several months after their arrival, a Tarta battalion arrived on the hills overlooking the Kaffa port. A Tarta emissary approached the city and demanded the Genovese heathens responsible for the rape of their women and death of their comrade be delivered to them for judgment. The city council refused the demand and closed the city gates. Kaffa soldiers armed the city walls in defense against the barbarians. The council was confident that the Tarta army would tire and seek out easier prey to pillage. Months passed, and the army remained camped out on the hills surrounding the city. In the early weeks of the siege, the soldiers captured and killed several merchant caravans arriving at the city. Word quickly spread, and all the land trade to Kaffa ceased. For several months, the sea trade continued, but eventually there was no available exports to extract from Kaffa. Just as condition turned for the worse, there were very few ships in port to ferry survivors away from the city. The Kaffa citizens suddenly had signs of hope that they would outlast the Tarta army. From the Kaffa city walls, the defenders noticed the army was showing visible signs of weakness. There were a few patrols canvassing the land trade routes into the city. A large swath of the soldiers appeared to be gravely ill. Rumors spread throughout the city that God was punishing the barbarians with a devastating pestilence for attacking the righteous Genovese. The Kaffa populace was sure they had defeated the godless Tartus. But in a desperate act, the enemy delivered a devastating blow to the city. The remaining Tartars weaponized their dead by placing the corpses in catapults and lobbing them into the city. The army hoped the intolerable stench would kill every dishonorable Genovese left in the city. For several days, what seemed like mountains of dead rained down on the metropolis. The city was covered in gruesome coating of blood and entrails. The rotting corpses exploded on impact as they hit the city streets. The citizens could not hide, flee, or escape from the corpses. Kaffa soldiers cleared the roadways by dumping as many bodies as they could into the sea. The overwhelming stench of the desecrated corpses traumatized and shocked the townspeople. But this hellish landscape was only the first wave of horror to consume Kaffa. Unbeknownst to the people, the rotting cadavers tainted the air and poisoned the city's water supply. Within days, thousands of citizens were burning up with fever and coughing up blood. In the week following the catapult attack, the captain watched his son die in his arms. His wife was too weak to comfort her dying offspring. In the garden outside their bedroom window, the captain buried his two sons. He ensured that from her bedside window, Laura had a line of sight to the graves. As the days passed, each new corpse was a deliverer of death to the living. By the time his wife died, thousands of Kaffa citizens had succumbed to the illness. After burying Laura next to his sons, the captain packed a bag and vowed to leave Kaffa and never return. In advance of his departure, the captain spent the last couple of days living on his merchant flagship with a skeleton crew. He spent the days preparing the ship for departure. On the second day, he sent several crewmen onshore to acquire the final supplies necessary for an open-sea voyage. The night before his expected departure, the captain awoke of cries and screams of terror-stricken refugees storming the port docks in search of passage on one of the few remaining ships. In fear of being swarmed by the surging crowd, the captain pulled up anchor and sailed out of port. The dozen sailors on the ship protested the abrupt departure, stranding their comrades still in the city, acquiring the goods and supplies for the ship's journey. The captain sailed out of port, leaving behind the frantic pleas of the people on the docks. Sympathetic to the sailors' protest, he guided the ship around to a cove down the coast from the harbor entrance. The cove was where he would drop contraband before heading into port. He hoped his stranded sailors would come here after observing the scene at the docks. The captain waited until dawn, and over those grueling hours he picked up the remaining dozen sailors and needed supplies. As the sun crested the horizon, the captain and his crew slipped away from the coast. The merchant flagship is now littered with almost 24 corpses. The flight from Kaffa did not allow them to escape the deadly disease. The captain suspects that only he and the sailors at his feet are still alive. He pulls out his flask again and pours the water on a nearby rag. He uses the wet rag to rub down the sailor's face. Ultimately, he leaves the rag rolled up on the lad's forehead, hoping to provide the boy some relief from the heat consuming him. The captain does not know what else he can do for the young man. He knows he has to leave him soon if he has any chance to get the ship to safety. The storm continues to pelt the vessel with rain. The wind of the storm sends a chill through the captain. He decides he will remove the sailor's clothing and pray the elements will help cool the boy's body temperature. He unbuttons the cloth that covers the sailor's torso. Surprised at the sight, the captain stumbles back and falls onto his hindquarters. A shooting pain radiates from his tailbone as he lands hard on the ship's wooden decking. Large black and blue boils near the boy's armpits are oozing blood and pus. The extent of the boils is worse than any the captain has encountered over the past 2 weeks. The smell of the sickness overwhelms him, causing him to choke. His lungs burn as his coughing fit prevents him from getting oxygen into his lungs. The captain manages to recover from the racking spasms that overwhelm him. He draws his hands up to his mouth to stifle a final cough. As he draws his hands away, he notices his palms coated in crimson. The captain's heart sinks. There is not much time now. He struggles to his feet, disturbing a rat that is doing its best to find nourishment on this death ship. The captain stumbles towards the helm. And that is chapter 1. This is the first chapter I wrote of the book in 2014. The next chapter wasn't written until 2019. Okay, that is good to know, Goldie. Thank you. The story of Kaffa is a true historical event. You know, I was gonna ask if any of this was based on historical facts. So that's really cool that you've been able to intertwine that into your story. That's awesome. All right, we have about 5 minutes left on our Stream Raiders. Don't forget to get your units in there if you can. And yeah, I'm intrigued by this first chapter. I can't wait to see what happens. All 1347 timeline is based on historical events. Okay, so is that meaning? I mean, you don't have to answer this because I don't want to give anything away. But does that mean we are going to see a bounce back to 1347? Because I see our chapter 2 is May 2020, Boston, Massachusetts morning. So I wonder if we're going to go back in time at some point. And like I said, you don't have to answer that. Okay, yes, cool. So there you go, folks. We are going to be present tense, past tense throughout this book. And I like those kinds of stories because it gives us a reflection and historical details that we can use to bring the story together. Oh boy. I even took a nap before this. I promise. I swear I did. Okay. Alright, let's read a little bit. I think Stream Radios will definitely be done before I'm done with this next chapter. Flashbacks and forwards. That's awesome. I agree. Alright. So, as I was saying, chapter 2 is May 2020 at Boston, Massachusetts. I like the start of the book so far. Me too. I'm glad you guys are liking it. And remember, if you're curious at all, that is the link. Oh, I should ask, Goldie, have you, is this your first book? Or do you have more? Voice so soothing he puts himself to sleep. You know, I have listened. Yes, first, fantastic. It's great. I love it, and I love the. If you can see this, that cityscape there at the top, that's pretty cool. I've listened to my own VOD before, and I have kind of drifted off a little bit. So the story came to me in a dream, and I felt compelled to write it. One of my books, Goldie, that I've written also did that, or I did that from a dream as well. Oh, I'm sorry. The last one I wrote actually came from a dream. It was like a 10-second blip of the dream that I could remember, and yeah, I ended up being able to write a book from it. All completely fiction, of course. That's nice chapter art. Yeah, I love it. 80% of the story is directly from that dream. Sweet. Yeah, obviously the historical events are probably not part of the dream, so that makes sense. Okay. We're good. Oh, why do I still have this plugged in? This does not need to be there. Let's move that out of the way. Put that over here. There we go. Mount that to the desk. Excellent. All right. Chapter 2. For a page or so before we do Stream Raiders. As Saturday morning progresses, the sun's rays crest the city skyline. Wow, usually I wouldn't be able to make a story out of my dreams. If those listening have questions, let me know. Yeah, definitely. If you have questions about what I'm reading or just anything about this book in general, fire away. Let him answer. I just leave a lurk. I am in movie night. That's right. You're watching a Harry Potter movie. Enjoy the movie. Thanks for lurking, Shivy. I appreciate it. If you want to play Stream Raiders too, you can. I have a battle going. We have a minute left. As Saturday morning progresses, the sun's rays crest the city skyline. The sunlight streams into the eastern-facing window, and beams of light bathe the bed in a warm glow. This is both a blessing and a curse to the bed's owner. Boy, do I know that that's true. Jason, let me know if I miss a question. Yeah, so Dark asks, is your book self-published? The brightness acts as a natural alarm clock throughout the year, ensuring the occupant awakes for the day. The sun takes no days off, and the alarm sounds on both weekdays and weekends. Today, the light beams fail to illuminate a tired student, but unsatisfactorily shine down on a stripped bed housing a suitcase and 2 hard plastic crates. The suitcase is partially filled with folded clothing, meticulously organized for optimal storage. Next to the suitcase sit 2 colored crates. The black crate is divided into 2 sections and holds a mixture of personal books. The left side holds works by Bront and Austen, and a coming-of-age story by Salinger. The right side of the crate holds the guilty pleasures stories. These are most often enjoyed on wet, gloomy weekends or cold winter evenings. There is a distinct theme held by the right side collection. These works include The Road, The Stand, Lucifer's Hammer, and A Canticle for Lebowitz. The second crate, which is white to distinguish itself from the first crate, holds a more intellectual set of titles. Molecular Biotechnology, Leninger Principles of Biochemistry and Applied Statistics, Analysis of Biological Data, way down the academic crate. Alright, I'm at the bottom of the page, so before I turn the page, let's do Stream Raiders. All right. Excellent. Let's do high ground right here. And good luck. There's 37 enemies. This should be interesting. 13th is plowing them down though. Here we go. Oh yeah. These guys don't stand a chance. Look at that. And it's all over. Good job. Good job, everybody. Alright. Let's see, do we want to go up top for the gold chest, or do we want to go to the mystery? I'm always a big fan of the mysteries myself. Unknown chest. Let's go there. I love a good unknown. Archer's still good, so yeah, let's do Archer, and we should probably start in this corner. If you have archers, place as many as you can, but feel free to place whatever you want on top of that, of course. Off we go. I also like putting parts of myself in books, and it's hard not to take some personal traits and give them to the MC. Yes, the main character often ends up resembling a little bit of ourselves sometimes. Absolutely. Alright. Right, I need to turn the page. That would help. I forgot we had finished the page. There we go. Here we go. The bed is positioned at the end of the room opposite the doorway leading to the hall. The bed has a built-in headboard with a built-in shelf. The black crated books were removed from this location and neatly packed into the black crate. On top of the bookshelf headboard sits a reading lamp. Angela's Twilight Sparkle, My Little Pony, and a fan of that needs to be packed in one of the cardboard boxes stacked on top of the desk. However, the fan is running on high to provide some relief from the summer heat. One can only imagine how hot it is in the non-air-conditioned room at the height of summer. The desk is located on the wall, perpendicular to the bed's footboard. It is already cleared out, the contents stored in the first cardboard box resting on the desk's surface. An empty box sits on top of the full box, awaiting a visit from the lamp, fan, and any straggling items. Taped to the wall above the desk are 2 pieces of paper. The first is a 1-week calendar. The columns list the days of the week, while the rows have 1-hour time slots from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. During the weekdays, various time slots are blocked off and color-coded. The contents of the colored blocks hold an odd code. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. say CAS space BI 481, MB of N, room 322. Keep freezing. I'm out running, not going so hot, heading home, and we'll hopefully get better signal. Yes, if you can hear this, Hicks, it also helps if you put it to audio mode only, if you don't have a good connection. That way you don't have to worry about getting video feed. If you can figure that out, great. If not, I will show you another time, unless someone in chat wants to assist. Other colored boxes containing similar coding. The only square that is decipherable to the casual observer is Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., called RA Staff Meeting. Above the calendar is a Warren Towers, Tower A Fairfield, Floor 7 floor plan. The diagram displays rooms 1 to 24, lining the outside of the rectangle's perimeter. In the center of the floor plan, there resides the bathroom, common area, and elevators. Each outlined room lists room number, the inhabitants' names, and their contact numbers. Each room is a cookie-cutter cinder block square consisting of a pair of beds, desks, dressers, closets, and fluorescent wall lights. Currently, the rooms are empty because of the other dwellers moved out earlier in the week. On the map, this room is labeled Room 701, Angela Sindile, Resident Assistant, extension 1701. On the wall opposite the desk, there is a 4-drawer wooden dresser. The wardrobe within is presently being folded and placed neatly in the suitcase directly to the right, sitting on the bed. The organizing, folding, and packing is done subconsciously, while the laborer holds a conversation with the other current room inhabitant sitting in the desk chair. Although her room is smaller than the other rooms on the floor, Angela is comfortable with her placement. Warren Towers is a place of contentment and security. Her freshman year, Angela was placed in Warren Towers C and became roommates with Samantha. The two spent a second year in Warren Towers, this time in Tower B. During junior year, the pair separated because Angela became a resident assistant for Warren Towers. There are better housing facilities on campus, but Angela appreciates what Warren Towers has to offer. Warren Towers is located at 700 Commonwealth Avenue, directly across the street from the College of Arts and Sciences. Angela appreciates the short commute to her classes, considering the school and resident assistant duties she has to juggle. On the street level, the building has a Starbucks, which Angela visits each morning on her short commute to class. In addition, Warren Towers has a communal dining hall that makes meal consumption an efficient endeavor. Finally, her dorm is across the street from the Boston University. Gosh, I'm so sorry. It's across the street from the Boston University East subway stop. This gives Angela convenient access to downtown Boston and her Sunday morning ritual. Why are you keeping all those textbooks? You know you can sell them back to the bookstore, right? Sammy inquires from her perch on the desk chair. She sits effortlessly in the oversized chair with her feet tucked underneath her. Angela marvels at how Sammy always appears comfortable and at ease. I can't just return them, retorts Angela as she gives Sammy a disapproving glance. Of course, forgive me. I am sure you will find an infinite number of uses for applied statistics analysis of biological data, Sammy states as she picks up a book by the same name. She opens the book to a random page and pretends to read the content. Yes, this is riveting material, she quips. I remembered Warren Towers 4 to get the map description. Oh, nice. Very descriptive, indeed. Well, the probability of finding infinite uses for that textbook is improbable, Angela jokes with a wiry grin. You are insufferable, Sammy says with a laugh. Angela joins with a laugh of her own. Remind me, when will Bill and your dad be here? Angela inquires as she continues to pick up folded clothes from her dresser and place them into the opened suitcase on the bed. They are moving my boxes over to the apartment now. Should take them only a few minutes to get from the apartment to here, Sammy explains, mentioning the sublet apartment pair acquired for the summer. How did you manage to get out of helping them move all your junk to the new apartment? I told them that you were way behind schedule and couldn't seem to get your act together, and that your only chance was for me to come over and whip you into shape. You didn't say that. Angela gasps and throws the t-shirt she is holding at Sammy. Sammy always manages to get people to do her bidding. Of course, Bill and her dad are family, and they will do anything for Sammy. Her entire clan is a tight-knit Boston Irish family. Sammy has countless aunts, uncles, and cousins, and they all live in the immediate area. During freshman year, Angela was so jealous of Sammy's family situation. Her family was big and involved. On Sammy's birthday, in October, her parents, brothers, and several aunts and uncles surprised her at Warren Towers and took Sammy and Angela out for dinner. The night was full of stories and laughter as each attendant told fond memories of the birthday girl. Angela remembers how she cried herself to sleep that night, so desperate for that sort of connection. Several months later, as Angela planned to eat at the cafeteria for her birthday, the same group surprised her and took her out to celebrate her 19th birthday. That night, Angela began a harmless crush on Sammy's brother Bill. But it is more than just the help from the local relatives. Sammy garners attention wherever she goes. She draws people in with her sheer beauty, but wins them over with her infectious personality. In many ways, Angela and Sammy are polar opposites in both looks and personality. Sammy has luscious, long black hair with large curls, while Angela has straight, shoulder-length blonde hair. Sammy has high cheekbones and a narrow, pointed chin, while Angela's face is round. Angela is most envious of Sammy's curvaceous body. When the two go out for the evening, the boys are drawn to Sammy like moths to a flame. She speaks easily to people, and she is well informed of myriad academic, cultural, global, and political topics. Sammy never seems to be at a loss for something to say, and what she says is always interesting. These exceptional social skills drive her to want to hit the scene each weekend. Angela does not have any of those social skills. She always feels awkward around her male peers. She has never had any problems making friends, but she is extremely shy and tentative when it comes to romance. Sammy has spent 3 years encouraging her to practice. Like everyone else, Angela could never say no to Sammy. She accompanied her each weekend and made sure her friend made good life choices. By the end of the night, Sammy had the contact information of several suitors and had consumed her drinks for free. She always kept Angela engaged in the conversation. But with a touch on the arm, a well-placed laugh, and a literal batting of her eyelashes, she had those male suitors mesmerized. Those weekend outings were like Angela's 5th class of the semester. Sammy was a tenured professor of the social arts. However, this past year, Angela was only able to join Sammy a few weekends to hit the scene. Angela's resident assistant duties required her to be present and available on the floor, and she learned quickly that Friday and Saturday night was a hotbed of activity. Over the past 3 years, Sammy had a string of boyfriends. Most girls would be labeled as promiscuous, but those unsavory monikers never stick to Sammy. She's too beautiful, too friendly, too smart, and too engaging for anyone to have a negative opinion of her. Sammy brightens up any room she walks into, and Angela is happy to observe her from the shadows. Coming out of her reverie, Angela asks, "Were they able to find parking over at the new apartment to unload the truck?" "They don't need a parking spot. They will double park. No local meter maid is going to give a couple of Boston police officers a parking ticket. And even if they did get a ticket, they would never have to pay for it," Sammy whispers conspiratorially. "I never knew your family was so corrupt," Angela says with a mocking gasp. "Plus, isn't your father retired from the force?" "He is, but he still has friends in high places," Sammy reveals. A moment of silence passes, and Sammy shifts uncomfortably to settle herself on the corner of the bed. Angela's attention is instantly drawn to the uncharacteristic tension oozing from her. Sammy opens her mouth to speak and then closes it again. She takes a deep breath, as if she is preparing herself. After another moment, she looks up, her tone turning serious, and states, "I'm excited to be living with you again this summer. Are you sure I can't convince you to get an off-campus apartment with me for our senior year? Sammy, you know I would love that, but this position pays me to live near my classes. I get a free room that includes my meal plan, sports pass, telephone, and ResNet services. Most importantly, I get to move in early and move out late, thus avoiding that yearly nightmare. For all of that, I have to plan some social events, hang flyers, hold a monthly meeting, and get to know the students on the floor. Hicks, thank you for giving Jeffrey a sub. That's super kind of you. Thank you so much. Why is that always off screen? I don't know. Thank you so much. I know, I just miss you, Sammy explains. She feels bad pushing Angela. Sammy knows how important and necessary this position is, considering her friend's situation. However, her current roommates are a drag, and she misses spending every day with Angela. The pair only have one more year together, and then who knows where each of them will be working and living. Well, I'm finished with the dresser, Angela announces. Would you mind placing the last few items into that empty box on top of the desk? I want to freshen up before your brother and dad arrive. Sure, Sammy confirms. Angela crosses the room to her closet and grabs her makeup bag and a towel. She walks out of the room, heading for the communal bathroom on the floor. Each step she takes echoes off the cylinder block walls of the hallway. Usually the music, conversations, and laughter emanating from the dorm rooms lining the corridor would muffle the sound of her passing. Angela enters the bathroom and sets herself up at the sink to the far left. She is a creature of habit and routine. On the day someone is already using the sink, and Angela is forced to prep at another station, her entire day is off balance. The incident will gnaw at her for hours until enough satisfactory daily habits overwhelm the irksome feeling. Angela examines her image in the mirror. Her self-evaluation results in a favorable outcome. She is an attractive person. Her blonde hair perfectly frames her face. Her glasses provide her an aura of intelligence. She has a thin and firm body from years of swimming on the Hamilton High School swim team. She acknowledges that she has the looks to be more confident than she feels. Angela pulls out a headband from her makeup bag and places it on her head to pull her hair away from her face. She removes a bar of soap from the bag, lathers up her hands, vigorously washes her face, and rinses with a splash of cold water. She uses the towel she brought to dab her face dry. She applies foundation, eyeliner, and lipstick as if it's one of her and Sammy's Saturday night outings. She looks over her clothing and determines that the shirt and shorts combination is particularly flattering. Angela applies a spritz of perfume and packs up her belongings to return to her room. Yeah, Shivy, you're part of the crew now. Welcome to the Shade Network. Upon arrival, she finds Sammy packing the cardboard box as she requested. Mercifully, Sammy has saved the fan to be the last item stored for the move. Angela folds her towel and places it in the makeup bag into her suitcase. She zips the bag closed and then moves it off the bed to make room for her to sit. Sammy resumes her seat in the desk chair and turns to face Angela. Now we just have to wait for the boys to arrive, states Sammy. Did you decide on which internship you'll be doing for the summer? I did. I settled on the internship at the law firm. Surprisingly, there are not many directly applicable internships for a classics major, she says with a chuckle. It's not my ideal job, but it is good pay. Club tattoos are completely optional. Completely optional. Got me thinking now. Angela marvels at Sammy's laissez-faire approach to her academics and career. I'm not sure if I said that right, but I think I did. She has not charted out her entire path. Again, this is how Angela and Sammy differ. Angela has a plan that she meticulously cultivates. She is getting her degree in molecular biology from the honors program at Boston University. She has completed internships in a medical lab and as a research fellow. After graduation, she plans to pursue a master's degree in biochemistry and dreams of curing cancer one day. For all of Angela's careful planning, she encountered an early hiccup. Her desire was to attend Harvard University. When she visited the campus after her junior year of high school, she fell in love. That summer, she watched all the movies she could find about Harvard. She particularly liked Good Will Hunting and With Honors, but disliked the LSD-laced Harvard man depiction. Young and naive, Angela had no doubt that she would attend Harvard. Life has a tendency to send unexpected curveballs, and Angela experienced this firsthand. She was thankful that she received a full academic scholarship to attend Boston University's honors program. If she couldn't attend Harvard, she would be as close as possible. I think this will be a great book, and thank you for bringing it to us, Agneton. Sorry, for some reason I can't tag Goldie. Thank you, though. Yeah, no, this is turning out to be a great first couple of chapters here. I'm very much enjoying it, so I'm glad you mentioned your book in the Facebook group. I really do. It's awesome. But since that unexpected outcome, Angela has kept her progression on track. The apex of her hard work is the exceptional internship she landed this summer. She will spend her days studying infectious diseases as the National Emerging Infectious Disease Laboratory, which would be the NEIDS that we looked at earlier, I believe. Or NEIDSL, sorry. I think. I might just be misremembering. But anyway. Oh no, yeah, I'm right. Angela was recommended for the internship by one of her professors. Needle is a biosciences facility of Boston University, located near Boston Medical Center of Albany Street in the South End neighborhood of Boston. She is surprised at the amount of butterflies she has in her stomach as she realizes how close she is to her start date. Needles, yep. Also a real place. I bet it is. More so now than ever. The intern welcome letter she received informs her to arrive at the biolab on May 25th at 9 a.m. and bring 2 forms of government identification. She is aware that the internship program accepts 1 student each from Boston University, Tufts, Boston College, and Harvard. She is concerned about whether she can stand out in a group of such accomplished students. She doesn't know much about the other students. Her internship welcome letter only provides each student's college, name, and major. Boston College, Asher Conrad, Biochemistry. Boston University, Andrew Sindile, Molecular and Cell Biology. Harvard University, Maura Wiley, Biology. Tufts University, Hugh Wenig, Neuroscience. When she read the letter, she was excited there is another female in the internship class. She is elated that she is from Harvard. Since reading the letter, Angela has fantasized about her and Maura becoming close friends. For all the time Angela spent on the Harvard campus, she never introduced herself to any of the students she saw. Maura will be her in to a world she desperately longs after. "When are you leaving for New Jersey?" inquires Sammy. "I expect I will leave Monday morning after a rush hour traffic. If I plan it just right, I will miss the morning commute here and will arrive at my sister's before the evening commute starts down there." "Sounds like a perfect plan. Is Mark going to be there?" "Unfortunately, I love visiting my sister, but I loathe her husband," reveals Angela. "I will concentrate on talking with my sister and playing with Jackson. If I'm lucky, I won't have to interact with Mark very much over the course of the week." Was your sister disappointed you were not spending the summer with her again this year? On some level, I'm sure she is disappointed, but there was a pretty tense vibe at her house by the end of the summer last year. Deep down, I'm sure we are all relieved I manage alternative accommodations this summer. Trust me, I will have a much better summer with you than I will in New Jersey, Angela assures Sammy. I'm going to spend the week in Dorchester with my parents. The apartment will be too lonely and quiet until you get back. When do you plan to return to Boston? Saturday afternoon. That will give me Sunday to mentally prepare for the start of my internship. Okay, I will plan to be at the apartment on Saturday too. Let's plan to have dinner at the Indian food place by the new apartment, suggests Sammy. That's a great idea. It's a date, Angela confirms as she makes a kissing gesture in Sammy's direction. And that concludes Chapter 2. Fantastico. This is great. I love it. Lots of insight, lots of depth, character development. We're really getting to understand who these people are. We're seeing the plot unfold. I love it. It's great. Goldie, out of curiosity, how many chapters are in this book? I didn't check to see if there was a contents page. I don't think I saw one. Let me just... Yeah. Yeah, it just kind of jumps right into it, which is totally fine. Not all books have to have content pages. Just depends on what you want to do. I think 34. Okay, cool. Well, it sounds like, based off of, the first couple of chapters, that folks in chat are digging the book. I am too. I think it's great. I'm going to take a quick 2-minute stretch break so that I can stretch, and we'll be right back. A good friend of mine grew up in New Jersey. Sounds like a place I would like to visit. 124K words. Awesome. Sweet. Okay. Give me 2 moments. I'll be right back. All right. We are back. Thank you for that. I stood up and did a back stretch, and a whole bunch of stuff went pop, 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 and it was wonderful. I really need to go back to my chiropractor. There are 3 storylines: 1347, Angela, and Alex. I wrote each storyline in its entirety in that order. Ah, very cool. All right. Okay, we have 2 minutes left for Stream Raiders, so again, I'll read this first page of Chapter 3. We'll do the battle, and then we'll get right back to it. First time writing fiction. Well, doing a bang-up job so far. Chapter 3, May 2020. Dr. Burke's office, Houston, Texas, late afternoon. Alex sits in a wooden chair with a cloth cushion, waiting for his name to be called. The waiting room is relatively small, with a dozen chairs packed tightly together. After presenting himself at the reception desk, Alex sits in the seat closest to the door leading to the doctor's office. The receptionist types insistently on a keyboard as her eyes sweep across the computer monitor. Alex wonders what she could be typing so intently. Her fingers click and clack over the keys in a constant rhythm. Alex half expects her to suddenly stand, saying, "My manuscript is done. I'm out of here." He stares at her for a moment, but her typing continues unabated. Two other patients are evenly spaced out throughout the waiting room. The woman across from him sits upright as her eyes dart around the room. She is clearly military, and Alex suspects she only recently left the employment of the U.S. government. The other patient is a man who is slumped into his chair at the far end of the row Alex occupies. His hair is long and unkempt, and a scraggy beard adorns his face. His eyebrows are full and wild. While the man is the exact opposite of the vision of the woman across from him, Alex is fairly confident he is also former military. It is the man's pale blue eyes staring blankly that gave him away. The man is clearly not present in this moment. His thoughts have taken him away to some distant land where he is witnessing some unimaginable horror. Alex has seen that distant stare many times, most recently this morning as he shaved. Okay, so that's a good little pause there so we can do the Stream Raiders. 24 units. Thank you guys so much. Let's switch over. Okay, look at all those beautiful units. Thank you all. And right there. Here we go. Good luck. Alright. Our high ground is taking out units with the arrows, and I love it. Archers are doubling their speed. We've got tanks roaming in at the top. Some war beasts as well. This war will soon be over. Taking some losses though. As a blind person, the hardest part of writing the novel was editing it. When we get to the interview point, mark that down as a part of the topic conversation, because I'd love to learn more. All right, good job, everybody. We did it. We beat him. Back to the map. Let's see. We can go up or down. If we go down, or no. Yeah, if we go down, we can do one more battle before the boss. If we go up, it would just be straight to the boss after that. So, might as well go this way. Get us a little bit closer to that boss. Oh, this map. Yes, of course. Warriors are great on this map. So if you have warriors, definitely get some warriors in there. Tanks. Obviously, we love our archers and a few healers. Some flags. There we go. Battle plan is ready. Go get him. I can imagine how hard it would be. Yeah, I can imagine too. Or I can try and imagine. I really have no idea. You mentioned first time writing fiction. What else have you written? I would be curious to know as well. while you guys are discussing that, I will continue on. We are only on page 22, and I'm so intrigued at what we're going to find out. Alex's eyes trace the pattern on the waiting room carpet. They go over the loop several times before he hears his name called. Mr. Volk, the doctor is ready for you. Thinking how unfair it is that the other individuals have learned something about him, Alex stands and walks toward the woman who spoke his name. The scruffy man and alert woman are sure to know his last name. It seems only fair that he know their names as well. To level the playing field, he thinks about introducing himself as they are still there when he leaves. Alex follows the woman through the door and down a long corridor. As he makes his way down the hallway, he hears his ears are filled with white noise, static that resonates from speakers near each doorframe he passes. The Doppler effect from the speakers gives him a minor feeling of vertigo. The woman stops at a door labeled Dr. Burke. She delivers a curt knock and then immediately enters. Alex figured this is more of a warning knock than a knock seeking approval to enter, as her knock and entry left no time for Dr. Burke to grant permission to enter. Alex follows the woman across the threshold and into the office. I have writing financial opinion pieces for newspapers. Interesting. We'll have to talk, Goldie, because I like the financial sector as well. I sit with people and give personal money management advice, and see if I can help them kind of get their act together as far as just the day-to-day stuff, so that they can pay their bills and buy groceries without stressing themselves out. So makes me wonder if that's, the entry level to what you do beyond that. So, Dr. Burke, your 3 o'clock appointment is here, the woman announces, and then quickly retreats back through the door, shutting it behind her. Dr. Burke rises and steps from behind his desk and extends his hand to offer a warm welcome. It's nice to meet you, Alex. Please, take a seat. He gestures towards one of the armchairs in front of the desk. Alex takes a seat as Dr. Burke retreats back behind the desk. The doctor pulls out a bound notebook with the name Alexander Volk written on the cover. He turns to the first page of the notebook and jots the date on the upper right corner. Alex, during the first session with a new patient, I like to spend some time getting to know the person in his own or her own words. I do have your patient notes from Dr. Greer, but I like to take this opportunity to start fresh. Let's start with what brings you in to see me. I told all this to Dr. Greer. Can't you just use his notes? I could, but Dr. Greer's notes are his interpretation of what you told him. I would rather hear it directly from you. Fine, Alex says with a sigh. I'm not sleeping very well. I've taken loads of things to get me to sleep, but I can't. What have you tried? Everything. I cut out caffeine, keep a regular bedtime schedule, and a regular exercise. I've tried melatonin, warm tea, counting sheep, and NyQuil. When I saw Dr. Greer, he gave me some pills to try, but those didn't work neither. Nothing seems to work. Do you have problems falling asleep or staying asleep? No, I fall asleep fine, but then I wake up and can't fall back asleep. I can completely resonate with that. Dr. Burke reaches the end of the page of the notebook and turns the sheet. He continues to write as he asks, What wakes you up? Some nights, I don't know what wakes me up. Other nights, I have a nightmare. On those nights, I wake up in a flop sweat and feel like static electricity is dancing over my arms and legs. What type of nightmare? I went over this with Dr. Greer. Seriously, do I have to repeat it to you? If you don't mind, offers Dr. Burke. I do mind. It's a nightmare. I don't want to talk about it. I understand, Alex. Just tell me the subject of the nightmare. Just a sentence or two. No need for details at this point, suggests Dr. Burke. Alex sighs. He takes a deep breath to steady himself. He notices Dr. Burke furiously writing in the notebook. What could this guy possibly be writing in that fucking notebook? I am so messed up that in one session this doctor's going to fill a notebook? He takes another deep breath and says, I have a nightmare about my time in Iraq. How long have you been having these nightmares? A few months. Anything else besides insomnia? When I'm awake, I'm tired and cranky. I have a real short fuse these days. Just on the way over here, I got into a screaming match with a guy who cut me off. But I feel like I could get a good night's sleep, that would go away, suggests Alex. Okay, I can understand not falling back to sleep. Yeah, I think it's a pandemic all by itself, honestly. Interesting, I just left a position that I was a financial coordinator. Too much stress after many years of being in the position. Yes, we've talked a lot about that. What do you think you are dreaming about, why do you think you are dreaming about Iraq? I have no idea. That was a long time ago. Have you ever had nightmares about your time in Iraq before? I did when I was there, and then for a few months after, I left the army while I was in rehab, but not since. Have there been any major changes in your life lately? Changed jobs? Been sick or injured recently? Lost a friend or family member? My parents died at the end of last year in a car accident, mentions Alex. Were you close with your parents? I was very close to my mother. She was a wonderful woman. And your father? We had our differences, Alex flatly states. Dr. Burke finishes writing, closes the notebook, and places it to the side. He returns his pen like a narrow microphone into the metal cap of his marble pen stand. His business cards announcing Dr. Kevin R. Burke stand stiffly at attention in the groove on top of his marble base. Next to the pen stand, Alex notices a crystal bowl that has a pile of wrapped candies. Dr. Burke clears his throat to grab Alex's attention. He leans back in his chair and rests his intertwined fingers on the desk. Do you know why Dr. Greer referred you to my practice? He asks. He said you were a specialist who could help me with the insomnia. That is correct. I am a specialist. Based on Dr. Greer's notes and the information you relayed to me today, I believe my particular expertise can assist you. Great. What seems to be the issue? Asks Alex. I believe you are suffering from post-traumatic stress, potentially related to your time in Iraq. Or there is something currently traumatic that is reminiscent of your time in Iraq. That doesn't sound right to me, counters Alex. You are showing the classic signs of PTSD. Insomnia, repetitive nightmares of a traumatic event, uncontrolled temper, and varied physical manifestations. Alex suddenly stands. This is bullshit. I thought you were going to give me some better sleeping pills or something. I don't think my issue is a fucking war fought over a decade ago. Can you help me with my insomnia or not? I can, but we have to get to the source of what is causing your insomnia. I believe a triggered traumatic event is that source. Once we work together to definitively determine the source, I can teach you a series of cognitive behavior therapy techniques that will assist in relieving the traumatic stress and allow you to manage the manifestations of those stresses, including your insomnia. This is ridiculous. Thanks, but no thanks, Doc, spits Alex as he turns on his heels and heads for the door. Alex, PTSD is a serious problem. Left untreated, it can lead to anxiety, rage, depression, and substance abuse. I believe I can help you now before these issues before these other issues arise. If you don't work with me now, please keep your eye out for these ancillary issues." While he speaks, Dr. Burke crosses the space to Alex. As he finishes his statement, he reaches out, thrusting one of his business cards to Alex. Alex pauses at the door and looks down at the extended hand and the business card. He takes the business card and responds, "I will," as he exits the doctor's office. Minutes later, Alex slumps into the driver's seat of his truck. He pitches forward and rests his forehead on the steering wheel. The arch of the wheel seems to sear into his flesh. Over the past hour, the heat of the sun baked the material, and now that energy is passing from the wheel into his skin. If Alex doesn't move soon, he is sure he will have a red rainbow temporarily tattooed onto his forehead. He takes a deep breath and attempts to slow his heartbeat. The exchange with Dr. Burke sent him into a frenzy. Before Alex even took a departing step into the hallway, his heart began racing. His hands bloomed with a layer of sweat, and an overwhelming urge to escape arose in him. He particularly burst into a run when he saw the glass door leading outside. As the breeze and sun touched his skin, he felt a tremendous weight slip off his chest. He approached his car at a brisk pace and stood, for several minutes, holding the door handle, his body refusing to be placed into another confined space. Soon, he felt calm enough to enter the truck, and with great effort, he launched himself into the car and into his current position. Now, Alex sucks the air of the cabin in through his nose and slowly exhales through his mouth. He repeats his breathing in this manner 2 more times, and then pushes off the steering wheel and presses his back into the driver's seat. With a large sigh, Alex turns the key and backs out of the parking space. Truncated images of his nightmare and his conversation with Dr. Burke wash over him. Images of his mom smiling are replaced with a sequence of him fighting with his father. The memories swirl in and out of his consciousness like a disjointed highlights reel. Time and the scenery pass him unnoticed. He only breaks from his reverie when he notices he has turned off the truck's engine. He looks out over the dashboard of the vehicle to see that he is parked down the street from the Russian Bear bar. Alex hadn't even realized he was headed to the bar. Muscle memory guided him to the establishment as he wrestled with the imagery raised from his visit with Dr. Burke. Alex should have headed home after the session. It is getting late, and Sarah will be off soon from her shift. She will expect him to be home when she arrives. Alex glances at his watch, which reads 5:15 p.m. He has time for a drink or two before he needs to get back to the house to meet Sarah. Alex pockets the key and exits the truck. He crosses in front of the vehicle and steps onto the sidewalk. He places a few quarters into the meter and turns toward the Russian Bear's entrance. Alex has only recently reacquainted himself with the bar, but he has a long-standing relationship with the establishment. When he was growing up, the Russian Bear was a staple of the Russian community that lived and worked in the Houston area. At first, the Russian Bear was a mysterious place where his father spent time. Alex's father was rarely around the house, and if he wasn't at work, he was at the Russian Bear. His father had moved the family to Houston to take a position with Yukos Oil, one of Russia's largest oil companies. When the Volks moved to America, Yukos Oil had been created out of the privatization of the Russian oil industry. Yukos primarily owned dozens of oil fields in Siberia. However, the Houston management team was charged with finding strategic and financial partners for oil exploration and extraction. Alex's father was a well-educated man and worked as Yukos geophysicist. His primary job was to find potential petroleum deposits and work with the exploration team to drill exploratory wells. His job required long days at the office and, often, long stints out of the country at the potential oil field sites. Dmitry Volk was a stern, no-nonsense individual. In fact, If it weren't for the Russian bear, Alex would have thought he was a joyless person. If Dmitri was in town, he had a very set schedule. He was up and out the door to work before Alex woke in the morning. The family would eat a late dinner each evening to accommodate Dmitri's work schedule. Alex dreaded those meals because his father peppered him with questions about school and his grades. The first few years of questions brought Alex tremendous shame. He knew no English when he arrived in the United States and was in elementary school at a complete loss for what was going on. The only subject he excelled in was mathematics. But even with that subject, his father would complain that his teachers were teaching the subject wrong. Alex's father was a brilliant man, and Alex always felt inferior when he conversed with him. After about 2 years living in the United States, Alex's mother began working at a hospital. She worked weekend shifts as a nurse on the oncology floor. Her knowledge of both Russian and English helped service the Russian patients. While his mother worked, Alex was under Dmitri's supervision. Dmitri wanted Alex to experience Russian culture, so every Saturday, they spent the day at the Russian Bear. Alex missed his mother over the weekends, but he looked forward to the weekday afternoons when he practiced English with her. However, when Dmitri was in the house, only Russian was allowed to be spoken. When Alex accidentally spoke English at home, his father instantly chastised him. Why zabili silny nes diai? There's my attempt at Russian, everybody. I've no idea how well I did, but that's fine. His father would yell at him. How could Alex forget his heritage? Between the lectures about the motherland from his father each night, attending church each Sunday at St. Vladimir's, and Saturdays at the Russian Bear, there was no getting away from his heritage. In fact, Alex desperately wanted to be anything but Russian. Means don't forget your culture. That makes sense. I wonder how badly I butchered it, though. In Texas, the Russian community is a relatively small population in such a large state. The majority of the Russian immigrants have settled in Dallas, Houston, and Austin. That original wave, Dmitri's wave, moved to America following jobs in science and engineering. The majority of the Russian immigrants worked in the oil industry. Hundreds of those Russians worked at Yukos Oil with Dmitri. The other individuals worked at a business that supported the approximately 20,000 Russians who lived in Houston. The second wave of immigrants flocked to these same cities, opening up small businesses in support of the exiting Russian community. Being such a small part of the overall demographics, it was important to those earlier immigrants that they establish a tight-knit Russian community. Those earlier immigrants had overwhelming national ties. There was lots of common thinking found in the bars, restaurants, and churches as the Russian immigrants discussed politics, economics, and religion. Today's Russian community is far more diverse and open-minded. These later waves of immigrants consisted of many young professionals who immigrated of their own free will and don't have any negative feelings towards Russia or America. Unlike the original waves, these immigrants arrived with a good grasp of the English language, which allowed them to instantly blend into society. Alex feels a stronger connection with these later immigrants, but his father would be disappointed in how the Russian community has evolved. Since the Russian demographic was relatively small, everyone went to the same Russian church, Russian general store, Russian grocery, Russian restaurant, and Russian bar. In the case of the last, the Russian Bear was the bar that served the community. And on Saturdays, Dmitri Volk and his son Alex would spend the majority of the day at the establishment. Back then, the Russian Bear was under the management of the current owner's father, but the layout and decor have remained pretty much the same. At first, Alex hated going to the Russian Bear. He sat at a table in the back corner with literally nothing to do for hours, the monotony only broken when the owner of the bar delivered a plate of pierogi to the table. Alex would spend up to an hour slowly eating each meat-filled, fried puff pastry. After a couple of months visiting the Russian bear with his father, other kids started showing up. Alex never knew if the other fathers were taking pity on him, or they realized the brilliance of getting credit for watching their kids while they drank, ate, and played cards at the Russian bear. On some Saturdays, there would be almost a dozen kids his age occupying several tables at the back of the bar. A steady stream of pierogies, elmenis, and blinis covered the table. I'm probably butchering all of these names. Well, clearly PTSD, exactly what the doctor said. Alex should have listened. Maybe he will later, who knows. The Russian bear became a transitional vehicle of acceptance. Since his father held an important position at Yukos Oil, the Volks were able to afford a house in a nice Houston neighborhood. Therefore, the public school Alex attended did not have many Russian immigrants. Alex always wondered why his father didn't send him to the Russian school, where many of the immigrant children attended. The other kids at the Russian bear were also transplants and learning English like Alex. They were trying to make friends and adapt to the culture, just like Alex. During those Saturdays, he got to practice his English with a group that was not going to judge or make fun of him. He learned what was considered cool and fashionable by the American children. And most importantly, one of the kids explained to him the rules of football, which, by the way, I still don't understand. And I've been here over 20 years now. At the Russian bear, Alex wasn't under the scrutiny of his father. However, he spent loads of time observing his father, especially in those first couple of months. The man was gregarious, funny, and likable. He still had hints of his rigidness displayed in the schedule he kept at the Russian bear. He would arrive to the Russian bear promptly at 11 a.m. each Saturday. He started by making the rounds to each table of the patrons who had arrived before him. By noon, he settled at a seat at the corner of the bar, where he consumed a hearty bowl of borscht. At the end of the meal, he chased the remnants down with some... I'm completely going to butcher this. He chased the remnants down with some Stolichnia vodka. I'm having fun trying to pronounce all these words, by the way. No idea if I'm getting even close, but I'm enjoying it. For the rest of the afternoon, Dmitri joined his compatriots playing Dirac. The men would laugh, drink, and tell stories of Russia. There was a camaraderie across the group, but there was also clearly a deference paid to Dmitri. He won most arguments, not through bullying, but a comprehensive understanding of the issues. Dmitri, or Dima as they called him at the Russian bear, always seemed happy, a trait Alex never observed outside the bar. In fact, the realization made Alex angry. His father's jovial personality never left the Russian bear. Alex was left with a father who was cold and critical. Don't worry, I don't know how to say it either. Yeah, but it's fun to try, isn't it? You'd have to Google some of these and see how Google says it. Dmitri was proud to be Russian, and the Russian bear was a venue where he could make strong bonds with fellow Russians. Alex knew his father wanted him to develop the same bonds with his fellow Russians and heritage. Alex is sure that this is partly why his father dragged him to the Russian bear each Saturday that his mother was working at the hospital. When his father arrived in America, there was a sense of pride that drove the Russian identification. Yeah. Today, the search for Russian identification is driven by desperation of curiosity. Alex now realizes his father was right to be concerned about the loss of his family Russian heritage and traditions. However, in those early days and in the years to follow, Alex rejected his Russian roots and embraced the American culture. Leveraging school, his mother, television, and his American and Russian friends, Alex mastered the English language quickly. He went with his father each Saturday to the Russian bear, but he was receiving an accelerated education from the other Russian children about how to fit in with the American kids. On Sundays, he went to St. Vladimir's with his parents, but he spent the time silently practicing his English. Hubby had to drop his Russian language class the first year in college before he failed. Yeah, it sounds like it's like super difficult. I can't even imagine. So many interesting pronunciations that make you feel like you have to twist your head and roll your tongue. Alex was fairly popular in school and had a wide swath of friends. Since he attended the Texas public schools, his friends were a blend of kids of American and Mexican descent. Alex was friendly with the Russian kids he saw each week at the Russian Bear and at church, but he did not socialize with them outside of those locations. Throughout school, Alex dated a series of girls, but to his father's chagrin, none were of Russian descent. In fact, Alex sought out girls who were the antithesis of his father's expectation. Dmitri considered Alex's rebellion against his heritage an unforgivable transgression. I learned Russian in school for 10 years. I don't remember much of it, though, sadly. I imagine it's one of those languages where you have to keep using it to keep it fresh, but I could be wrong. I guess it depends on the person. As the years evolved, the wedge between Dmitri and Alex grew. Alex's mother often acted as the bridge and glue that kept their family unit functioning, at least in public. The final straw in his relationship with his father occurred at the end of his high school career. Unbeknownst to his parents, Alex had applied and become a U.S. citizen, and on his 18th birthday, he enlisted in the U.S. Army. Directly after graduation, he would be leaving for boot camp. Now, Alex takes a sip of his drink and sets it back on the coaster in front of him. His head is swirling with the memories and emotions from his childhood. As a distraction, he picks up the paper sitting next to him at the corner of the bar. The paper is a local Russian newspaper called Ha Texas, or Our Texas. A Russian family in Houston runs the paper, and it covers politics, business, health, and culture from a Russian perspective. The paper is a staple of the Russian community and is found in every Russian establishment across the city. The newspaper is another common thread that connects the Russian community. In Alex's childhood, Dmitri and his fellow bar patrons would discuss the paper's articles for hours each week as they played cards. Alex's connection is interrupted as the bartender asks if he needs another drink. He polishes off his current glass and slides it towards the bartender for a refill. After a moment, his glass is full once again. Alex tosses back half the glass in a gulp and sets the glass down in front of him. He glances at his appearance in the mirror behind the bar. He chuckles and dips his head at the sight. The man in front of him has a hint of Dmitri Volk and is sitting at the corner seat of the Russian Bear, reading a Russian newspaper. The man in the mirror is spending his downtime at a bar rather than with his lovely wife. For a person who spent half his life rejecting everything about his father, here he is, filling his bar stool. Alex wonders if, after all his fighting, he is in fact becoming his father. He realizes that he is not like Dmitri. Dmitri was a happy man inside the Russian Bear. Alex is not happy inside or outside the Russian Bear. Alex finally asks the bartender for the bill after his 5th drink. He places the cash on top of the receipt along with a generous tip. As he is putting on his jacket, his cell phone rings. It takes him a moment to answer the call because of his alcohol-compromised coordination. He slides his finger across the screen and places the phone to his ear. Well, this is not going to end well. Hello? Alex says as he turns away from the bar and heads towards the door. Alex, it's Ernie, announces the night manager at the trucking distribution company where Alex works. Hey, what's up? He asks as he exits the Russian Bear into the Houston evening. FYI, this is one of the longest chapters. Yeah, I was noticing it was a bit longer. We only have a few pages to go. Manny's truck broke down on the highway on his first delivery, states Ernie with some panic in his voice. Fuck. Okay. What other trucks do we have to take over the route? Alex began to pace back and forth on the sidewalk. That's why I'm calling you. All the other refrigerated trucks are out making deliveries. The backup truck is in the shop getting repairs from Anthony's accident last week. I don't have a refrigerator truck I can send to transfer the cargo. What should I do? Ernie anxiously asks. There is really only one thing that can be done in this situation. Alex knows that Ernie knows what the answer is, but having only been recently promoted to night manager, Ernie doesn't want to make this call alone. Alex accepts that Ernie is turning to him because he is the senior daytime manager. By checking with Alex, he covers himself from any potential fallout in case the call is incorrect. During the next couple of minutes, Alex questions him on the available personnel and trucks. He wants to determine a competent veteran driver who can utilize a large enough truck to unload the product from the broken down truck and haul it back to the warehouse. Alex will then call to apologize to the customers and arrange delivery times for tomorrow. Jerome is towards the end of his shift. He's driving one of the large blue trucks this evening. However, he already worked a full day, so if we send him to help Manny, it's going to cost us time and a half, Ernie relays to Alex. By this point, Alex has absent-mindedly walked past his truck and is now pacing in front of another bar several storefronts down from the Russian Bear. This bar features live music. Garuki, thank you for the host. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I like how descriptive that chapter is. Okay that it's long. Yeah, I don't mind either. It's got good content. This bar features live music, and the evening's entertainment is on a break between sets. The bar patrons flow out of the bar to take a few minutes for a cigarette break. The noise of the expanding smoker crowd quickly rises, drowning out Alex's conversation. Tell Jerome to cut this route short and get to the truck back to the depot. I will call Steve in to take the truck to help Manny. Steve owes me a few favors. Alex yells into the phone for the second time, trying to be heard over the background noise of the bar crowd. After it is clear that Ernie has failed to hear his directions, a drunk Alex aggressively pulls his phone from his ear. Will you assholes shut the fuck up? I'm trying to talk on the phone here, he screams at the crowd. A tall man in a cowboy hat glares at Alex and retorts, Who the fuck are you? Where'd you get off telling us to shut up? I'm the guy on the phone. Now shut the fuck up. Alex slurs out as he sways on his feet now that he is standing still. The tall guy steps toward Alex, flanked by two of his cronies. He closes the gap to Alex quickly and shoves him in the chest. Fuck you. Normally, Alex would be unfazed by this shove. His training in the army and his skills as a high school wrestler honed his center of gravity and balance. In fact, after the amount he just drank at the Russian Bear, those skills are the only reason he is still standing at this point. The shove takes Alex off guard, and his high level of intoxication prevents him from maintaining his balance. He stumbles backward and half crumples into a patron's car parked at the curb. Time seems to freeze, and the crowd in front of Alex dissolves into a memory. The memory he had circled all night, but had continued to drink to push out of his mind. The scene around him reshapes into his family's living room. Alex is on the ground with Dmitri towering over him. His mother is screaming and pulling on Dmitri's arm. Alex has just told his father of his enlistment in the U.S. Army. He has seen several sides of his father before that. The gregarious friend at the Russian Bear, the passionate debater at the card table, and the cold, critical father. In that living room, Alex watched anger and hate wash over Dmitri's face. He lunged at Alex and dug his fingers into his shoulders. He screamed about Alex's betrayal and concluded by throwing Alex to the ground. If his mother had not pulled at Dmitri, Alex is not sure the assault would have stopped at that point. He felt small and helpless in that moment. His father had always made him feel that way on an intellectual level, but now he managed to dominate him physically as well. Alex has run that scene through his mind hundreds of times and visualized himself rising from the floor to retaliate against his father. But he didn't do it on that day. Instead, he ran out of the house and spent the day wiping the tears from his eyes. Alex shakes his head. He looks up from the curb. A figure looms over him, yelling profanities. A bright light behind the figure casts the person in silhouette. Behind the profanity-laced rant, Alex can hear a chorus of laughter, laughing at the boy who is intellectually, emotionally, and physically dominated by an unloving father. Laughing at a boy who slinked away in shame. Alex's anger and frustration swell from the pit of his stomach, spurring him into action. An action he should have taken decades earlier. With an unexpected quickness and ferociousness, Alex springs from his crouched position. He drives his shoulder into the cursing man's waist. His angle and momentum drive the man off his feet. Off his feet, and the two crash down onto the cement. Alex swiftly slides up the man's body and straddles his chest, delivering crushing blow after blow into the man's face. As he delivers the punches, the scene before him goes blank. Separation of time here. Before he even realizes he is awake, Alex can feel the pounding in his head. His eyes begin to flicker open. The light in the room is extremely bright, making the images before his eyes blurry. A wave of nausea sweeps over Alex as if his brain attempts to reconcile his orientation. With great effort, he determines that he is lying on his back, facing the ceiling and staring directly into the overhead ceiling light. He groans as he forces himself into a seated position. He blinks several times to clear the image before his eyes. Upon recognition, Alex shakes his head in disbelief. Instantly, he regrets that movement as his head rings like a bell. He's sitting on a solid bench inside a jail cell. A wall of metal bars with a gated door lies before him. Alex tries to remember the circumstances that led him into this jail cell. The memories dance across his mind like a movie sizzle reel. Flashes of him drinking at the Russian Bear, talking with Ernie on the phone, rolling around on the ground in a fight with another man, and being handcuffed by a Houston police officer. There is a tremendous amount of activity now in the police station, and the din continues to aggravate Alex's headache. The stone slab provides little relief to his aching muscles, cuts, and bruises. After about an hour, a uniformed officer approaches Alex's cell. "Rise and shine, Mr. Volk," the officer states. Alex rises from the bench and stands in the cell. After he does it, the officer continues. "Mr. Volk, you were arrested last night for public intoxication and misdemeanor assault and battery. Do you remember last night?" "Vaguely. Did the guy who pushed me get arrested?" inquires Alex. "I was not the arresting officer. I'm merely in charge of processing you and getting you on your way. You can request the arresting report in a few days. Right now, I'm going to activate the phone in the cell so you can make your phone call." The officer points Alex towards the phone. He picks up the phone and starts to dial Sarah's number. He's about to enter the last digit when he suddenly hangs up the phone. He takes a deep breath to gather the courage to make the call to Sarah. As he stands, trying to gain the courage, he unconsciously slips his hand into his pocket. He panics when he doesn't feel his wallet. He quickly pats down all of his pockets without finding his wallet. He checks his back pocket and only finds a small card. He flips it over to see the name Dr. Kevin R. Burke. Alex picks up the receiver and dials the number on the card. After the doctor's voicemail greeting, Alex says, "Hi, Dr. Burke, it's Alex Volk. On second thought, I think I'm seeing some of the things you were talking about. Can I come in again next week?" And that ends chapter 3. And a fantastic place for us to take a pause. We'll do our Stream Raiders battle and then we will find somebody to raid. I gotta tell you, Goldie, this book is turning out to be pretty freaking awesome. I'm loving it. I really am. I'm not just saying that. I'm really enjoying how the characters are playing out, the scenes that he's in. This is real fun to listen to. I was going to ask you, actually, has anyone else read your book out loud that you've been able to listen to, or is this the first time? I ask because I remember my first time when someone read one of my books, and I had butterflies for like a good hour. It took a long time. Just the computer. Okay. So yeah, it's probably a little bit different having a person do it. So I hope that I am living up to the standards of what you expect it to sound like. If there's anything you want to tell me in an email, for example, about certain characters or just anything in general, certainly let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of do it as I feel like, you know, it should be in my head. But I guess that's how it's always going to be with the readers, right? It's just going to be however they depict. So, all right, let's do the battle. Good luck, everybody. This will be our last battle for today. And of course, why would you not go straight forward? You would, of course, go around. Makes complete and utter nonsense. All right. While that's going on, I'm going to look for someone for us to jump over to. Let's see who's live right now. I helped found the USG, United Storytellers Group. In the About section below, you'll see a whole bunch of people that are part of that group, but I'm also now a part of the Plat Squad. And so I can also look for some of them to raid as well. The Plat Squad likes to play a lot of games, especially the scarier games, the horror style games. So let me check to see who's on. Daywalker's on. She's a hoot. There's nobody else on that's doing any reading. High ground should be placed directly on the archers anyway. Yeah, I was hoping that they would move forward, Garuki, but they didn't. So they went down instead. Shivi, finishing? I am finishing. I'm just looking for someone to raid. And right now, based on who's on, it looks like Daywalker will be it. She's playing what's called Crab Game. It's a newer game that was made. So we will go say hi to her. Alright, let's finish out this, get some rewards. 13th Age and Garuki, good job. I just want to say, or actually, let me I want to say thank you again to everyone that's been in today. To Goldie, our author, thank you for letting me read your book. It's absolutely fantastic. And a huge, huge thank you to Hicks and to Rio. You guys made my day with all of those subs, getting me up to the goal. I should be able to add more emotes now. I'm super excited about that. That's what that goal was for. And then obviously I'm able to buy more books as we move through. So you made my day. You really did. For those that have subs now, if you are not in my Discord, please jump in there, because on Saturday evenings, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will do a subs only read. Goodbye sounds like an awesome stream. It was. So join me for the subs only read. We are reading Ready Player One. It's a fun book. I enjoy it. So definitely get in the Discord. Check that out. Thanks for reading. It was a treat to have the author present. Have a great night, everyone. Yeah, loved it. So let me make sure I'm spelling this right. Daywalker M, I think. Hold on. Yeah, okay, I think I got it right. If you feel like joining for the raid, you'll obviously get some channel points. Daywalker is part of the Plat Squad, so feel free to say hello. It is mature audience because of the type of game she's playing, but I don't think that's a big deal. So again, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. We can't change the world by ourselves, but we can change the world for somebody. So take that opportunity this week as you meet people, talk to people, change the world for them. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, night, wherever you may be, and I will see you next time on Thursday.
Oh shit.
Oh, Josh.
Oh!
I just need to get to 5.
I'm concerned! Well